Hecha.
Hecha.
Oh.
Hey ha ya hey ha ya hey ya hey yo hey yo hey yo
Hey, yo.
hey ha ya hey ya ya
Oh.
hey ya
Hey,
hey yo
yo.
hey yo hey
Hey,
yo
yo.
hey ha ya
Ya,
hey
hey,
ha ya hey ha ya hey ha ya hey ha ya hey
ya, hey, oh, hi.
hey yo
Oh.
Vortex community
Community, huh?
college
Che, uki, beno, yo, me, kashe, agus, kashka, yogi, be, no, aki, ktabi, ikata, ya, beno, ay, yo.
Hey ha ya hey ha ya hey ya hey ha yo hey yo hey yo hey ha ya hey ya yo hey ha hey ha yo hey yo hey yo hey ha ya hey ha hey ha ya hey ha ya hey ha ya hey Vortex
Vortex
community.
community, huh?
College, ukie no yo
Yo,
Ito
itu
gashi
gashi,
gagush kashka iyo no yo yo
mata baby, aki ktabi, iha chaye ya beno, yo.
Hey, ya, hey, ya, hey, ya, hey, yo, hey, yo, hey, yo. Hey, ya, hey, ya, yo. Hey, ya,
Hey, hi, hey,
hey,
hi,
yo,
yo,
hey, yo,
hey, yo,
hey,
hey,
yo.
yo.
Hey, ya,
Yeah,
hey,
hey, hi,
hey,
way, hi, yeah,
hey,
hey,
ya,
hi, yeah,
hey,
way,
ya,
hi, yeah, hey, hey, yo, hey, yo, hey, yo.
Vortex
The
community.
community, huh?
College,
Yeah, okay, be no, yo, me too, kashi, dagushka, yogi, be, no, yo, wata, baby, aki, tabi, ihata, ya, be no, hey, yo.
Hey ha ya
Okay.
hey ha ya hey ya hey yo hey yo hey yo hey ha
Hey,
ya
hi,
hey
yo, hey, hey, hi,
ya
yo.
hey ya
Hey, hi, hey, hi, yo, hey, hey, yo, hey, yo.
hey ha
Hey,
ya
hi, ya,
hey
hey,
hey
hey, hi, ya, hey,
ya hey ya hey
hey, yo, hey, yo, hey, hey, yo, hey, yo.
Vortex
Vortex community, huh?
college, no yo.
Oh, yo,
Ito
Bitu
gashi
Gashi
gagush
Dagush
kashka
Kashka Yogi
no
Eno Yo Yo
wata
Wata Baby
ati
Aki
tabi
Kapi
ikachi
Ikata Ya Beno
yo.
Kind of had some sound going on, kind of ruffled in the end there, Tushka.
Hmm.
I don't know what's going on, but
Yeah,
with Bob's song, yeah. Did
yeah,
you hear it?
I could hear it. I think if there's people still have
Mike's song?
their
Yeah,
mics on,
my,
sometimes it'll reverberate through
yeah,
the speakers, but it's all good.
my,
It's all good.
yeah.
Oha metakuyepi, uh, Chantewa Shtea, Yuhana Pe Chuzapdo, Dakipi, Ake, Elijah Hopkins Demie, Wakchinja Wakpa, Wonspe, Wankantuya, Dachia, Dayan Yahipido. Hello, relatives, and thank you for joining us again on the Buffalo Chasers podcast. We are at week number 14. We are going to have a general discussion. We are streaming to you live from Fort Peck Community College, located in the heart of the Fort Peck Assiniboine Sioux Reservation, here in lovely, beautiful Poplar, Montana, also known as Wakantanka Tamakoche Eapi, God's country. So again, thank you for joining us out there wherever you're at. Before we get started too far in our discussion, in the warrior way, in the Buffalo Chaser way, we always try to start things off in a good way with some prayer. And so ask our Nekshi Dekshi, Mr. Tommy Christian, if you would offer us a prayer in a good way.
Oh, hechituelo daya chano tushka. How mitaki epi daya ya hipi hechanaha. Ushia ke mitaki epi naha. Ogia cha kiksiapo nitaki epi wayanzapi naha. Kiksiapo nitaki epi chante yoksicha omani. Omakia naha wochikia. All my relatives, again, we'd like to welcome you to our, I think it's our 13th week or 14th week.
Okay, dope. 14.
Oh, 14. Hey, we made it this far. But we've been doing these things for some time here. So Crystal and Gifford, James, David, don't be shy about talking like me and my Toshka here. We're all hands at this, and we talk up a storm. So don't be afraid to jump in there at any time and help us out, because that's what it's here for. And, as we do these things, we do them as well as and respectfully as we can, based on this virtual perspective that we're learning as we go along. And again, we understand that there may be some questions out there as it relates to tobacco questions, or however you want to refer to that as, just offering respect. They call it ochbagi. And in that, we're going to go and help ourselves do these things and open it up in a spiritual way with a prayer. And that's why we do this. Like my nephew here said, we're trying to move things along in a good way and just really, really enjoy ourselves for this hour. We try to keep it right at an hour. We sometimes go over, but we always try to keep it at an hour. So if you'll pity me, my relatives, and help me as we go to the Creator at this time. Okay. Atukashela wakatanka tadeuya doba unchi makana makaina na kumitaki epi wanagi makbea ktaya ge ho choka kta hiopo unshia ke mitaki epi wanahi naha okia wo ushiwi chalapo gixiapo tiwahe nitha naha tioshpe nitha owichakiapo ushiwi chalapo atukashela wakatanka oyate oyasi chanku luta aga omani owichakiapo ushiwi chalapo atukashila na wakatanka gixiapo mitaki epi agichita oyate kizuya ekta naha wichasha bele wiabile chanku washte upi atukashila wakatanka ushia ke naha mitaki epi unchima kaumani wayazapi na chante yoksicha omani owichakiapo lila uthecheke ampetukile atukashela na wakantaka na gixiapo mitakepi unuksalapi wichakshalapi na wakayajapi na hokshilapi na winchinchalapi na koshkapi na wikoshkapi wichozani washte upi na chaku washte upi okia wa ushu wichalapo gixiapo mitakepi ampetukile na wayawa tibi oyateki na unspeki oyateki wichasha bele oyapile na wayawa kushka wikushka oyateki ushanke okia chawo. My grandfathers, we come to you in this beautiful day that you have gifted us with. We come to you in a good way and ask that you help us to understand the importance of our purpose and our dedication. And we ask that you watch over all of our relatives in a good way as they try to pursue their purpose and their dedication in life, as they walk this red road of understanding and wishing to share that as respectfully as we can. And again, as we come this way, we understand the importance of the respect that is due to this virus that's going around, and we try to share that by maintaining our oneness in a good way, not our loneliness, but our oneness. So we ask that you strengthen us in our hearts, our minds, our bodies, our spirits, to help us realize this goodness that you provide for us at this time, so we can really acknowledge those values that are in our families and all the good things that we are here for. So we kind of come to you in that way. And on this day, my grandfathers and my grandmothers, those that assisted me as I sat on the hill, and in a good way shared with you some acknowledgments from my heart as I cried for a vision in a good way. I want to thank you for helping me come to this time in my life. And we ask that you watch over all of those that are participating and give them good things to share with all of us. Ho mitake oasi, wamakashka oasi.
Uh-huh. So again, relatives, just as a general review with the podcast, Buffalo Chasers podcast, week 14, we have a general discussion overview will be our, I guess, our topic, which basically means we can talk about whatever we want. So that's the cool thing. And so we'll kind of open it up here for whoever wants to start any discussion. But before we do that, I just want to make a couple quick announcements kind of related to anybody that's following us out there in Facebook world. Give us a like, give us a share, put any questions, comments that you have in the comment section, and we'll do our best to address those. But by participating virtually, for those of you that aren't able to join the Zoom call that we're streaming here live on Facebook, by you participating and engaging with us through this format, we'll put your name in a weekly drawing for a jacket and or a Kindle Fire. And so please feel free to do that, and then we'll make the announcements next week. So we're in week 14, so we're going to announce the week 13 drawing winners. There's 2 of them. The first winner for a Kindle Fire, drum roll please, Kathy Eder, ladies and gentlemen.
All right. Yeah.
Oh, kawashite.
Yeah.
And we also have another drawing, a sweatshirt and or jacket, whichever one that they prefer. When chicken dinner, John Wetsit.
There you go. Hookah. Coach. The coach.
Oh, Hoka. So for those of you that are winners, you can redeem your prizes at Student Services. Otherwise, just send us a message, an email, give us a phone call, and we can mail those out to you. So I just wanted to share that with everybody. So yeah, in general, one of the main purposes of our podcast is mental health discussion and review. It fits in nicely with the cultural component. And so we have somebody like Nekshi Tommy that is always helpful and kind of guides our discussion on how it connects our contemporary way of living with some cultural resources and some discussion. And I think by combining those for our students, it's only going to strengthen their experience as students and hopefully help them out with their experience as they're included into this Buffalo Chaser society that we're trying to build and enhance. And I think there's just a lot of cool areas we've discussed over the past 13 weeks, so just for some ideas to consider this time of year, we've had the winter solstice. We've had New Year's Eve is coming up here, and then the New Year. So there's going to be a lot of people celebrating. And I've always thought it was interesting the New Year's Eve or the New Year's concept in Washichu calendar versus the natural system of renewal. Those are kind of interesting. Not one being better than the other. It's just an interesting discussion. New Year's resolutions, diversity,
Yeah.
diversity, New Year's resolutions. I know a lot of people make those. Oh man, I'm just gonna run miles, or I'm gonna quit smoking, or whatever their thing is, right? Like we've all probably done it. But and then there's also traditional commitments with tobacco and stuff. I always thought those are good, healthy discussions. We can talk about those. And again, our way is a way of inclusion, and so feel free to share or talk about anything that you want.
Gifford, we missed you last week. How'd your week go? How'd your visit with your kids go? Everything go well with you? And Did you think of us? Jeez, nephew.
He missed us. I know he did.
I know it.
Of course I missed you all. Yeah, I mean everything went well. It was it's amazing to see how, like, with getting the final grades for the semester and getting people coming together and seeing each other and celebrating in the way we can with this pandemic going on and everything, and just how the relief can come over you when you don't realize how stressed out you were before you got together and have that healthy release of just coming together. I mean, just me and my daughter hanging out with my parents and stuff is a small gathering, but just being able to do that and connect like formats through Zoom with my sisters and have family be there when we're doing the gift giving and all that stuff, it wasn't too much, but it was still something to be grateful for. You know what I mean?
Yes, exactly. That's what it's all about, and that's what I was trying to help us all understand is the importance of that nucleus of the family, eh? And some of the things that we do, and we're realizing that, especially when we have to go over Zoom and whatnot, and it's not actually that immediate response, eh? Even emotionally, you don't get that through Zoom, but after you kind of understand, well, we're at a different time. We're dealing with ways in a different manner and more virtual experience, and we got to adapt to that. And that's one of the greatest strengths of First Nations people is our resiliency, our ability to adapt to any given situation or circumstance that comes up. And so I'm really glad to hear that, Gifford. I'm glad that you had a positive experience and whatnot, and hopefully you give us a good little thought and some of the things that we shared with you as it relates to making your life a little bit more positive and being able to be resilient in at very precious times like that, especially when you're I know how it is when your family's so far away. I never had this. I had to drive 6 hours to go see my kids, but we could have zoomed it. That could have been better for me too. Save me gas. No, I'd rather have that personal involvement, but it all works. We can all make it work for us, as we do these things. And of course my niece Crystal is here, and I'm so glad that she's participating. And I hope everybody understands that if you're a student or if you're a participant of the college, not an administration, but you get a $25 food card every time you involve yourselves. And we had various participants and whatnot, and so don't be afraid to go and pick those up, because you're doing the college a favor by actually receiving this very generous thing where we share the most respectful thing you can do for another person, an Indian person, is feed them. And that's what we're trying to express here. I know that Toshka Elijah took it upon himself to try to help all the students understand that association they have with the uh, Buffalo Chasers Society is that we wanted to feed you and let you know that we respect you and all that good stuff. So that's kind of, we're still continuing it, that and all those good stuff. And those are the decisions we're trying to maintain, is that integrity of who we are based on that dignity and honor, and live it, you see, and actually live it. And so I was really glad to see my niece here and participating, and hopefully we can help her out a little bit with maybe some coffee and rolls or something, whatever she wants to do with that $25. But again, it's just an expression of a generous perspective, and as a receiver you appreciate that. So that's really cool. I'm really thankful. And it's also good to see David. I seen him this morning earlier. He was still wiping the gum out of his eyes like that, and I said, "Hey, wash your face." But it's always good to see him. He always has a good story, and just like you, Gifford, he has a very good life story that he shares with us. And I know he doesn't want to express that openly like this, but at the same time, he has some character development within him that he takes, and he understands the importance of living a healthy lifestyle. And I'm really sharing this to help my niece understand the importance of living healthy. Yeah, I know her circumstance from a few years ago. they're in tough shape, but I know they really appreciate the roof over their head, a little something to eat now, and I know her mother very well. She's like my sister. We grew up together, and so yeah, it's that's really good. So we really enjoy uh, this podcast and kind of chomping at the bit, but in a good way. We want to just welcome you like that and help you understand. As a student, you become a buffalo chaser, and then we should always try to represent that. You don't only represent yourself, but you represent your family, your tribe, and in this case, the Society of Buffalo Chasers, which is really cool. Is that cool or what?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, Crystal.
Yes. I'm glad to be here today too. I probably should have hopped on here a long time ago. I didn't really know what it was about or anything, but
Yeah, yeah.
I'm just glad I'm here today. I'm glad I also chose to come back to school and change things
Cool.
around my life. And since then, things has been going good for me. I'm married now, and things are just falling into place. I'm taking up my associate degree for pre-nursing, pre-health.
Right on.
So I'm just plugging away at that and trying to do the best I can.
One day at a time, eh? Yeah,
Yeah,
kind of like
exactly.
that's
Yeah.
that's good. Always good to stay positive, and as hard as it is during these COVID times, we're still making the best of it. A lot of people are making generalizations as it relates to quality of life. Sure, this is the way we live anyway. Got to peek out the window, see who's out there. Don't answer the door and stay home anyway. We ain't got no money to go nowhere, so. But yeah, that's a good thing. What do you think, Toshka Elijah?
Oh, it's too. I think I was listening to Crystal and Gifford. I think it reminds me of our previous discussions. I think we've all had, even myself, just through participating in this podcast, we're all, I think, programmed as Ikchea to communicate with each other. We're not necessarily meant to isolate. So it's more natural for us to talk. And I'm just grateful we're able, kind of like Crystal was saying, be able to connect virtually. It's good for us. And I think it's a blessing, right? And so I'm like really trying to, my day-to-day walk is really try to look for the blessings, even through the difficulties. There's silver linings, there's the blessings through those. And so I think with that type of outlook, I think it kind of enhances our ability to stay focused and to continue to participate in things and reach our goals, And so like when earlier we were talking about sometimes individuals have New Year's resolutions. To me, those are goals. Doesn't have to be the new year to be doing those things, but when you decided to be a buffalo chaser and you signed on the dotted line, you said, I will be a buffalo chaser. That was a goal. You made an academic decision to do something. And I think that's something that any of the potential students out there, that's kind of what we aspire to do, is set these goals, whether they're academic or non-academic. And when every time we strive and we reach those, we're increasing our ability, and we're influencing our future in a better way, for not just for ourselves. We talk about this, Dex, every time on here, so I'm not trying to talk at anybody individually, just for anybody that's listening. I think is that we're able to influence not just our own future, but really our children and our community. And because that's one of the main things we want to do with the Buffalo Chaser Society is to connect the whole community to these resources. Because there's so many things that I think individuals, they're just not aware of, or they didn't have the right connections within their family or whatever. And we want to create this atmosphere of inclusion, inclusion. And so any questions that people have, and we anticipate that down the road, we're going to have more of a open access to physically be face-to-face and have this experiential learning through land-based teaching is what we talk about, is the natural way we're all programmed to learn, and so our academic stuff, it's all good, but we want to really make time to get out in nature, go for walks, pick medicines, because Even I learned something the other day from Dekshi. We were looking at some sweetgrass. Man, I thought I scored some really good sweetgrass. Then he later on he said, Toshka, if you look at this, there's a thing called buffalo grass.
Yeah.
Buffalo grass, it's almost kind of like an imposter sweetgrass. So sometimes people sell it on the cheap. They try to hoodwink people. And so if we don't know any better, we might get some of that buffalo grass. We might really be smudging up with that buffalo grass in a good way. But he shared with me that what to look for. So those are cool things, I think, that we can look forward to when that time of the year comes. May, June is my understanding. So there's just so much to learn. There's so much to absorb that when we come together like this, we can share and learn. And so if we isolate too much, and not so good, washteshni, we're meant to get together. So.
Well, when we see you next week with your eyebrows burnt off, we know that you smudged with that buffalo grass.
Dang, buffalo sweetgrass just kind of singed my eyelashes, my brows. But
that buffalo grass, if you light it, my older brother, Joe Ironman told me, he said, "Oh, my brother," he said, you want to start a grass fire or what?" I said, "Why is that?" He said, "Look at this. This is buffalo grass." And he lit it. Holy Christ, started a big flame. Sweetgrass, it just smudges, it smolders, but that's it. Then the way you feel it, you feel sweetgrass and you feel that buffalo grass, it grabs you one way and doesn't grab you the other way, but this buffalo grass grabs you both ways. So, but there's a way to detect that, and then with that purple root. But yeah, we can. Oganashmaya, we say in our language, Oganashmaya. They might fool you, it could be fooling you, so just be careful. And again that's one of the things that we wanted to really help promote out there, is the importance of critical thought. Critical thinking is key. The creator, the spiritual energy give us all a mind of our own. And again, we go through all this stuff and this fear, we're controlled by fear. That's, I believe, a way that we assimilated, whereas Indian people, they really don't have no fear, because we work on that development of our character to strengthen us. But if somebody can control you based on fear or just your naivete, then they got you. So the greatest tool of the oppressor is the mind of the oppressed. And as we just go through these things, we understand the importance of strengthening ourselves from the inside out. And that's what that character development does for us. And in that, the best teacher in that process is observation, where you watch. And again, Indian people, we have so much respect for silence, for sometimes just listening. And they think because we're stoic like that means we're stupid or dumb. No, it means that we have lots of respect, and we understand the importance of respecting others. So it's kind of like that. But it's something that I think I mentioned David here earlier, and I met him earlier, and I was teasing him a little bit. But even that, in that teasing, we tease like that to recognize, see if they can handle teasing. If they get mad and walk out, then he needs to develop a little bit more. But if they just kind of stand there and withstand it, and then even say something back, we call it scoring. When he scores back on you, well, that shows that he has the character to be strong, and that's an indication of that strength from the inside out. We don't look this way and blame others. We look inwardly and accept that responsibility of just being a human being. And it's total inclusiveness. When we say children, we mean all children, Indian, white, black, whatever, whatever the case may be. And so that represents our future. That's going to affect all of us in a good way. And if we can continue to perpetuate these good things that were manifested way before the white man came over here, well, we just want to take those and share those. And that's kind of where I'm coming from. You think, David?
I think you hit it right on the nose there, Tommy. Yeah.
I can't tell
I have
you.
to say that.
I can't tell the difference. I can't tell the difference between you and that buffalo behind you.
Ah,
You guys' heads are the same size, and same bushy. Ishma wichasha ini. You're a hairy
What?
man.
I have to say, not coming from the being born here on the reservation and being raised here, that it's been quite the learning curve to like fit in.
Yeah.
So I sit around and I listen a lot, like you were talking about, and try to learn from all my elders here, and even the younger people too, which have a lot to tell me. So
Wow. Yeah.
I appreciate everybody's comments and stuff. So thank you. Yes.
Yeah. You know, and again, as we do these things, it's important to represent, like we said, all of the students that come here and sign that dotted line, they naturally become a buffalo chaser. How they choose to represent that status, if you will, is up to them. We're not here to tell them what to do, but we're here to share with them, like David was saying, some of these qualities that we don't always have an opportunity to express. No, don't. And my baby's getting upset because I'm talking. But we don't always have an opportunity to express some of these things because we're observing and we're listening and we're learning as well. And I think that's a whole thing about participating in this virtual experience, is to really be aware that in these things we need to speak, not like when you're at a ceremony or whatever, where you can just observe how the protocol is taken care of. But when we're on virtual, we have to talk. That's the only way we can't see as much as we'd like to. Does that make sense to you guys? Gifford, does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And it's one of those things where, coming from growing up, listening was one of those things that I didn't do very well. I thought I knew everything. So I missed out on a lot of good information from my elders that I can't get back because I was unteachable. I thought I knew it all. So by talking and trying to be understood than to try to understand is something that I value in a different way now. Listening, but like you said, now that we're virtual and we're going like this, we very much have to be able to be vocal and speak. And so one thing that this pandemic is bringing out in all of us as people is the opportunity to find our voice, to not be shy or scared to share our voice, to have it be heard, and to find out that, man, we're not always wrong, we're not always right, but there's value in everybody's thoughts and opinions and beliefs. There's something to take away from all of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
One thing I'll add to the conversation, I was just looking on our Facebook feed, and then there was one comment by a lady that said, have you already discussed thoughts, concerns about the COVID depression that's surfacing months after the pandemic shutdown / isolation? Apparently it's her first time on the call or joining us on Facebook anyway. And so we have definitely covered that. That's one of our main missions, is to promote mental health through discussion. Specifically, we've covered that topic a few times. But is there anything we want to add specific to that, Dex?
But that's what today is about. We want to understand, based on that comment. Boy, that's a beautiful comment. Is because how are these things that we're sharing affecting your ability to deal? This is the premise of this whole virtual experience, is the COVID, and how people are going to deal with that mentally based on this virtual way. Like, that's why talking with our voice, like what you were saying, Gifford, Toshka, that we need to kind of step up, I guess, in a good way. Not, I guess, I don't like to say, I guess. We need to step up, and we need to take that chance, like what my niece, Crystal, is doing here today. She's stepping up and she's listening, she's participating, and we got to get involved like that for the sake. What it does for you, if you hold it inside, it'll eat you up. You got to let it out, but in a good way. And that's what this whole thing, the premise of our virtual gathering like this, respecting the Buffalo Chaser Society and learning as we go. But in that learning, we're strengthening ourselves to deal and contend with this virus that we need to respect, not fear, but respect. They told us all this stuff, then how to do it. We should respect it and do those things to keep it away from us, eh? And to understand the importance. It's not going to be like that forever, but how are we contending from the inside out as it relates to what the question this lady asked is, are we dealing with that depression throughout this time? Well, this is a form on how we contend with it based on the lack of protocol. And that's why I say we're learning as we go how to maintain that respect, how to maintain that dignity and that honor, to really maintain the integrity of the Buffalo Chaser Society, of going forward in a good way and representing. We're not trying to make priests or popes or nuns or holy people here. We're wishing to understand the importance of, there's a positive side, there's a positive avenue in which we can walk this red road of understanding and gain those things as we go. And so that's what it's all about. And yes, we are going to continue this, and ultimately at the end of this whole progression of how we go, we're going to learn things collectively, and we're going to understand the importance of getting it off our chest, so to speak, in a good way, in a respectful way. And it's an opportunity to really deal with this depression that we may be taking for granted, but as times, if we let it build up, boom, it'll explode on us. So let's not let that happen. And hopefully inviting this new year, as they call it, Geabdo, that they'll be able to hold down their celebrations to just within their families, the ones that they live with. So we don't go out and become these super spreaders as it relates to a behavior that is not respecting that virus. Does that make sense, guys? Is that, and so we're learning as we go, as we just listen, but actually getting it out. Let it really appreciate my niece Crystal for sharing. Your internet connection is unstable. Is that me or is that you, Toshka?
If you're seeing it on your screen, I think it's on your side. That's all good. If you're not hardwired in yet, sometimes if you're using Wi-Fi, sometimes that screen will pop up. But I see you now. You appear to be good, but
I'd like to throw something in there that I heard earlier that I was thinking about.
Yeah, that.
You know, there's a lot of people out there saying that they're in isolation or they're isolated or anything like that. And I like to remind people that that's a double-sided coin. There's another side of being isolated, and it's called oh God, what is it? Something else. It's a good time for people to reflect.
Yeah.
You guys see what I'm talking about there?
Yeah.
So I just remind people that you don't have to get stuck is that I'm in isolation or anything like that. Oh, the word I was looking for is solitude. You know, there's people in this world, especially in some of the other religions and stuff like that, where solitude is a good time where they reflect on what they do in their life. They reflect on creation. They reflect on how they're going to treat other people and how they're going to change their own lives. And I think people need to look at the other side of that coin and look to the solitude part of this pandemic thing, where we all have to sit at home and not be around other people and stuff like that. So I'd just like to get that out there and hope people think about that side of things too. So.
That's why I don't refer to that. People call it loneliness. I always call it oneness. Hey, there's nothing wrong with being a oneness. Eh?
There you go.
Loneliness.
Yeah.
You think, Crystal? That good name?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think there's nothing wrong with it. I kind of don't really feel the difference always. Especially nowadays, you just, you don't want to be out there too much. Just kind of stay home more or less anyway. So.
Yeah.
Superman
focused.
had his fortress of solitude. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
Want to get in trouble? Yeah. You just stay home.
good time to reflect. And I encourage everybody to, when they're at home, and just think about things. Think about how you can change your life. Think about how you can change other people's lives. Think about maybe volunteering or doing something to make life better for people around you. And just don't think about yourself. Think about others, and think about our people. Think how you can come to college and learn something new that you could use to make other people's lives better. And I think that's a good road
For free.
For free.
For free. And just about that, talking about that oneness, if you guys' homes is like my home is the epitome of procrastination. Yeah. Yeah, that's what it is, man. I'm gonna do that, but I'll do it later. Shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Must run in our blood.
Yeah, kind of like that for sure.
Well, you got to have that procrastination list, so
Yeah.
let it go to about 4 or 5 things, and then just get them all done, and then start all over again and do it again. So. Got garbage and laundry and straighten up the house. And
there you go.
And, all those things. And don't have to do them all the time, every time. Just make a list up and do them. Yeah.
Well, you know where me and my son live, we call it the Bulls Camp, eh? And they say, well, what's a Bulls Camp, Tommy? I said, well, that's a place where the sink is full of dirty dishes. You got bologna and bread in the fridge, and you got to pick up the house sometime. But it's a Bulls Camp, so just me and my son live here, so we kind of things, eh? We'll pick it up later. Yeah, that's. But that whole thing about what we're doing, if you. Crystal, you can go back. We archived a lot of these ones from the first week all the way to the 14th week. They're being archived, and Reverend Elijah, nephew Elijah, can tell you how to get there.
Okay.
Yeah. Since you brought that up, it looks like actually Tommy's cutting in and out pretty bad. He must have a poor internet connect Wi-Fi at home, but I'm sure he'll hop back on here in a little bit here. But yeah, for those of you that are listening, I think what actually Tommy was referring to was we are archiving all of these episodes. And so those of you, the students, weekly, I try to send out a copy of the weekly podcast. And so directly after this, we try and keep them about an hour long. Directly after this, I send a copy of it to our YouTube channel. So those of you that are on YouTube, go to subscribe to Fort Peck Community College. And then there's a playlist. We have several videos that we've made for recruitment, different things, but there's a playlist called the Buffalo Chasers. So if you go to the Buffalo Chasers and you look at that, and then I want to say should be 13 episodes. And so once a week we have a different topic, and one of the other topics we have always talked about is linear versus non-linear. So there's no starting point. Just watch any of them, take what you can get out of it, and hopefully just apply it to your life. However, Tommy will be probably the first to say this too, is we're not speaking at anybody. We're just trying to have conversations, and so like wherever the conversation goes is wherever the conversation goes, as long as we try and keep it positive or healthy is probably even a better word. Then we try to go there. And so, but yeah, so on the YouTube channel, we subscribe there. Those of you that are Facebookers, obviously we're here live, and then under videos, all of these are archived. So we have 13, we'll have 14 of them now. We also have the audio version of each podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and Google Podcast. So those of you that are able to, that are podcasters, you can check that out, and you cruise down the road.
Have you got a Rumble account yet?
Mish,
Yeah.
Hetchetushne. I do not.
Good.
But there's all kinds of platforms. Those are just some 3 general ones that we used, YouTube and then Facebook. So we might add some more down the road, but that's kind of our brand right now. We're trying to promote. So it looks like Dekshi is back. Dayan Yahiri.
Wana aglipi.
Wanayagli.
Yeah.
But yeah, you must have got a good connect. You're looking crisp right now. So, but yeah, we just reviewed the podcast, how it's archived, and anybody that wants to listen to it. I see on Facebook, there's a few people said it's the first time they've checked us out. So we're archived that like that. Go back and check out all those different topics. Again, we try to be non-linear. So any point is a good point to hop in the conversation. 14 weeks now of quality wohadakapi.
Oh. And doing these things, can you hear me good now, Toshka? Okay. As we do these things, one of the things is we're trying to remain somewhat apolitical and at the same time positive. Boy, I had a good discussion with my grandson last night. He come over and he visited with me, and we're social distancing and stuff and all that good stuff. But we had a good visit, and he's wishing to become a teacher, and he will in the next few weeks. He's going into a student teaching now, and he was asking me, well, Grandpa, he said, how can we implement these into the classroom? I said, well, get away from the block sort of a teaching method. I said, go into like a more of a, what do they call it when they go on outings?
Experiential.
When they go on outings, when they take the class out,
field trips.
Field trips, yeah. Go more into those, I said, and then as you do these things, it becomes a little bit more refreshing for the student. You get to contend with all those ADHD kids and stuff like that. I said, but the problem is a lot of times you have to become an association within the school system to defend the children from the politics, which is usually Montana Education Society, whatever they are, Montana Political Association, whatever, that teachers, you kind of have to protect them from them. That's an adult faction trying to influence these kids based on their agendas. And you always hear that if you want to help children get down to their level, and a lot of them, and that's very political. And so we want to make sure that we can defend that adult to an adult rather than an adult attacking a child based on their political agendas. And that's what we need to get away from. And he was asking me a lot of good questions. There's a lot of good things that we can discuss as we go down the line there. And again, we don't deny the politics, but yet we just understand it. We understand the system and we make it work for us. That's why I feel with Fort Peck Community College always has remained apolitical to a degree. And in that, they've maintained that dignity and that honor in the representation of it being an Indian college, but yet opened their doors to everybody. So in that way, we can bring out a lot of these younger teachers that are coming out of our system to help them understand the importance of not having our Indian children hang their identity on that nail outside the classroom, then go into the classroom. And then when they leave, pick up their identity back, but take it in with them. And there's ways that can be done. There's a manner in which that can be addressed, but we don't want to force it on anybody, because when we do that, it becomes highly political. We want them to accept it and see we can establish that right here at the community college, an avenue to address these concerns that we have on our reservation. Okay, you see, without forcing or making it political and calling names or anything like that, but just introducing a very gracious manner, a way to apply some of our value system that precipitates from natural law. What are you guys' thoughts on that? Because again, we have a way now. We just need to acknowledge and respect that way to address these things. And I think it's a prime opportunity, especially with this virtual perspective. What do you think of that, you guys? If it made any sense, it does to me.
Oh, let's do. I'll just
Ah.
hop in conversation just real quick. I think sometimes there's for certain individuals, maybe going back to the depression topic, would be that there's sometimes a sense of helplessness, and when it comes to overcoming some of these things. And so I think institutions like Fort Peck Community College, I think through education, we promote individual and almost like a collective sense of aspiration of freedom, right? And so part of that, when we do that, I think is opening people's eyes to the power of education and what that means and how that can influence change within our communities and overcoming some of these hurdles and enhancing one's critical thinking
Yeah.
to be able to match those critical thinking ideas and thoughts with solutions to make the community a little bit better. So what do you
And
guys
from
think
the
about?
from the community college perspective, and not over intellectualizing it. You see how that kind of was a deterrent to us. We read these things and we follow what somebody else said, and whoever wrote those books, they weren't even Indians. They didn't even grow up on a reservation. But and again, it helps us to understand the importance of concentrating. And one of the things I shared with my grandson is a charter school is something that we could really consider, because then what happens in a charter school, just like the community college, the charter school controls the curriculum, controls the pedagogy of how they teach their children. But that's something we can aspire to. Well, what about the public schools? Well, that's something that we need to talk through. We don't want to be detrimental to their operation or the way they do things, and maybe they would welcome it. But nobody has ever really tried it. I've always been one that advocates charter schools, just because of when you get 98% of your public school population being Indian, and there's no standard that involves a cultural perspective, there's something to be said about that, eh? So where's the perspective of, especially when you're on a reservation? And that's where we need to discuss those things to create and develop and evolve to a standard to where our young people can be evaluated on a standard that is more comfortable to them, not so alien. Because right now, that's why they got to hang their identity at the door, because they're going into an arena that is totally alien to their standard way of life. And we're talking about lack of economic support, lack of family unity, and all these things are learned behaviors and very dysfunctional. And we don't even look after our own in that respect. But we gotta work out a way. But we can do that. And I think with the ability to introduce this critical thought process, affording you yourself the right of your own integrity as you see the center, then it helps us to understand the needs that are out there, as opposed to just following what they call a regulatory authority, which is based on their policy, not one that we establish. That's why I'm a proponent of charter schools. But that's just me. And that's why this is so beautiful. We can discuss these things, we can talk about these things, and really understand the importance of possibly maybe adapting to where my relatives, make yourself strong. But how come we're not addressing those virtuistic perspectives and developing one's character to be able to take on these challenges that are presented to us? One of the things that old Tom Shortbill told me way down, he was head of Ogallala College down there. He said, we ask our people, and he said, we're worse on our people than anybody, because we ask our people through all these treatment programs and everything to make functional decisions, but yet they don't even have a home, a functional home, eh? Right, Crystal? Yeah. And that really affects and the ability for people to live a healthy lifestyle. So how can we expect the people that are the most oppressed to make functional decisions when they don't even have a home? And yet when they get a home, then they end up kicking them out because they can't pay their rent. And that's not fair, because all that money never came from the tribes anyway. It came from HUD. And if that's a housing and urban development following a treaty to provide us shelter, then something is wrong with this picture. But that's what I'm saying. The development of a more natural law perspective as it relates to this tribalistic attitude, we can make a change, but we have to start with not me, not us old guys, but you young guys that are out there. You can address that and work towards it in a good way, not in a forceful way, not in a political way, but in a good way. Does that make sense to you guys? I don't want to go on and on, but think about it. Food for thought.
Yeah, that's definitely an interesting topic. And I think we've talked a little bit about it in the past. And I think that's definitely an ongoing conversation we'll continue to have. One other comment, I was just going through the Facebook feed. There was a lady that said she was adopted out by her mother of the tribes without the tribe's knowledge. So she lives outside the res, kind of grew up there. Maybe for a topic, she says, maybe discuss how you feel about welcoming us back when we really have no knowledge of the culture or history. I am doing my best. My grandfather was Adam Red, World War II code talker from Fort Peck. So maybe we could talk a little bit about that now if you want, or we could save that as a topic for next week. I wanted to address her comments and she put it out there.
As a past tribal councilman, and again, that's why I really address this apoliticalness, because I see how much of the politics has ruined a lot of good thoughts, a lot of good things. And of course, now we have a lady that's off the reservation that would like to be welcomed back. Of course we would. There's the boundaries don't have walls on them. We don't exclude anybody. And if she goes back and watches this is all about inclusiveness to that Changleshka, that circle of life. And so, of course, we would, because it's very important for our young people, and me also being a past social worker, the importance of that identity of where you come from, understanding your lineality and addressing that in a good way, because then you can represent that legacy that's been hasn't been shared with you yet. But once you come back, I'm sure you'll find that Adam Red is a very important individual here on the reservation as well. And it's stuff like that we'd be more than happy. She should start a class here and get on virtual experience, and it's free. Should pass that on to her. But Gifford, that stuff I was talking about before, and as it relates to that regulatory authority, that's where we can address these policies to be a little bit more open towards our Indians, and especially in our court systems as it relates to dealing with young people. Like I said last time, and I was kind of hesitant to say it, but I feel that it's important that children should never have a last chance. And that's key, because again, if we approach it like that, then we can afford them every opportunity. Just because my way didn't work doesn't mean that it's not going to work somewhere else, And so in that's where these policies really affect an individual's outcome. And I think we've all experienced that regulatory authority that they refer to as policy that's negatively affected us one way or another just based on that. But that was kind of like, what's your thoughts on that, Gifford, as it relates to being a part of something like that?
I think having a value-based, generalized curriculum for our children, for us as individuals growing up, it'd be very helpful for us. I mean, and who's to say? I mean, we're the ones that live here, grow up here, And I'm not saying, and that's all people here that are here, but
Yeah.
we get told what the definition of functional is. We get
Yeah.
told what the definition of success is. We get told when our value system that we've had in our generational DNA and our genetic makeup defines these as different, and they're natural for us. Granted, we're all people and we come from all different ways of life, but there's a generalized way to meet in the middle for people to get together and come to some kind of understanding. Okay, we could present these ideas and let's let these children pick their own path and let them define what these values mean for them. But to present it to them is happen first.
There you go. That's my man right there. God darn. This guy knows what he's talking about, man. But, you know, and again, the sensitivity in that is to try to remain apolitical, okay? Because remember, we're dealing with children and they shouldn't be exploited or manipulated for the sake of our own political agendas. We should always work with them in a good way, and whatever we can create and develop to make it a good world for them, which, because they represent our future, it'll be a good world for us. And I don't know what it's going to take for people to understand that, eh? And that's why this Buffalo Society, when they come to school here, they become a part of it, and they don't have to become all this. And some of them will be hesitant to go because of their belief system or their doctrine that they follow, but they shouldn't. They should open up, say, oh yeah, that's that diversity that I live amongst, and we know how to live like this. And so we can do this. It's just that's why I feel that the catalyst is within us, our little Buffalo Chaser Society, to really take that and go with it in a really good way and get rid of some of those superstitions, get rid of some of the BS that we've been following all this time, and the stories and the lies that have been said about all of you savages. Yeah. Yeah.
Looks like we're at the top of the hour going into the next. I think unless there's any pressing comments, I think we'll wrap up the discussion, and then I'll make a few announcements. Unless there's any other comments any of you would like to share. Yeah, because if not, a couple
Just
important.
real quickly, Toshka.
Oh,
Just real quickly, Toshka. Just real quickly, Toshka.
Mm.
And again, for those that are participating, those that may be viewing us on Facebook, we like to keep it at it for the sake of it, the consistency. And I know we could go on and on and on, especially me. I could talk all night, but we like to keep it for the sake of consistency so that we don't disrupt anybody's days or their plans or anything. So that's the purpose for that. But we can always catch up. We're going to keep going. So every Thursday after this Wednesday, every Thursday we'll be on 3 to 4. So just wanted to remind them of that, Tushka. Oh, hecha to wopila chicha.
Oh, Pedama. So yeah, a couple announcements for Peck Community College. All of those of you that are out there listening, watching, again, the spring 21 semester registration is officially open. We want to encourage people, especially new transfer students. You can go online, go to fpcc.edu, and you can apply. The really super cool thing about what's happening right now is that all tuition and fees are completely free. Completely free. Say that again, free tuition and fees. Which usually sometimes books are super expensive. We're covering that too. Doesn't matter if you're taking one class and you're just wanting to learn how to bead, or if you want to be an engineer, or whatever your degree is, whatever your academic goals are. Maybe if you want to learn more about your language, Nakona language, Dakota language, you can take some Dakota language classes. If you want to learn about the history of the tribe, whatever your thing is, we have a what you call a hybrid learning format. So there are certain classes that are completely online, certain ones, and then there are certain ones that are a combination of in-person and online. We utilize a new platform this year called Canvas LMS Learning Management System. So you can go online, submit your classes, look at all that stuff. it's really kind of the way of the future. And so we want to make sure and really promote that. So students that live outside of the reservation, you can still take some classes. Okay, so just go to fpcc.edu. Right there, you can apply. You can also look at our schedule of classes for the spring semester. So definitely a great opportunity. A couple other things along those lines is free meal plan. So if you're taking at least 6 credits and you're taking your degree seeking, okay, you get a free meal plan. So every week you'll get some food cards, different things. You'll be able to grub up. So we'll be able to take care of you that way. Also, free internet. So again, if you're degree seeking and got at least 6 credits, let us know when you apply. And then if you don't have internet, we'll hook you up. Our local internet service provider, Nemont, we have a plan with them. So I see yes.
I just have a question. I was wondering about that since they hooked up free internet for this past semester. I don't have to worry about it because I'm an ongoing student. I'll be in this next semester too. Do I have to?
No,
I don't. It should stay on, huh?
Stays on. Exactly.
Okay.
So if you're, if it just rolls on over, for whatever reason, if you have to withdraw, then we'll have to take the internet off. But as long as you're continuing with us, free internet. Okay. All the way through the summer. So take advantage of that. Yes, Dave.
I'd like to add one thing too. For all you new students out there, and even those long distance ones that may be in another state or anything, I know it's important that you probably have a lot of questions and need answers to and stuff, and being long distance, it's kind of hard to get that. So once you enroll and everything, you'll find in your emails that you can contact me through any means, phone calls, emails, and I put on what we're doing right now with this Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, twice a day from 9 to 11 and from 1 to 3. And you can just pop right in, click the link and pop right in and ask me any question, and I'll try to answer it. And if I can't, I'll find somebody that can answer it for you, so you're not left out of the loop at the college. So I want to get you guys in there, talk to me, and there's all kinds of things at the college you need to know other than just applying and getting some books and going to class. So I'll be there for you guys 24/7.
Okay, so David James, he's the man. He's the super duper student services staff helper, one of our main go-to guys if you need assistance with the registration process. Super helpful. He's a former student, alumni, and now we roped him back in here and he's helping us out. He's part of the society, so he knows the system inside and out. So take advantage of this awesome resource. His contact information is djames@fpcc.edu. His office phone number is 406-768
6343.
6343. So give him a call, and he can send you that Zoom invite that he's referring to. So that way, maybe you haven't even fully enrolled yet, and so you don't have an email. Contact him, and then he can send you that invite, and then you could join the Zoom call. And
Did you guys see that that Indian direction, Dave?
Yeah.
Lips.
Not that far.
No, not that far away.
His soup coolers.
Way over there.
So yeah, definitely take advantage of that. Just to recap: free tuition and fees, free internet, and free laptops. Okay, and free meal plans. And so I want to say we just made you an offer that you can't refuse. As the Godfather says, please take advantage of that. Classes start January 18th, I believe. Oh, excuse me, the 19th. And so registration is ongoing.
Can I say one more thing, Elijah?
Absolutely.
For all you distance learners out there and maybe in another state or another part of the state, and you are an enrolled member of the tribes, higher education is still has enrollment taking applications for higher education funds. So until the 15th of January. So if you want to email me and stuff, I can send you that application and you can fill it out and mail it into them, and hopefully they'll select you for higher ed. So that's all I got.
Okay. Oh, watch this. So as part of that free tuition option that we're giving everybody, whenever you do get scholarships, grants, all of that comes right back to you. That's money in your pocket. So it isn't like we take that and you get some leftovers after you pay your fees. We cover all your fees, tuition, scholarships, grants, higher ed, all that stuff. It goes right back to you. So really a great opportunity, and part of your financial health at the college is super important. That's the part of the educational process. So with that, midakuyepi henakshado dokshta ake wachia kapikte. In our way, we do not say goodbye. We say dokshta ake until next time.
Doksha ake.
Oh, that's two.
Hey ha ya hey ha ya hey ya hey yo hey yo hey yo hey ha ya hey ya ya hey ya hey yo hey yo hey yo hey ha ya 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 hey ha yo hey yo hey yo Fort Beck Community College Ukiyepino yo yo me too gashi dagush kashka yogi piano yo yo wata pebi agik tabi ichachia ya bino hey yo hey yo hey ha ya hey ha ya hey ya hey yo hey yo hey yo hey ha ya hey ya yo hey ha yo hey yo hey yo hey ha ya hey ha ya hey ha ya hey ha ya hey yo hey yo hey yo Fort Beck Community College Ukiyepino yo yo me too gashi dagush kashka yogi piano yo yo wata pebi agik tabi ichachia ya bino hey yo hey yo hey ha ya hey ha ya hey ya hey yo hey yo hey yo hey ha ya hey ya yo hey ya hey yo hey yo hey yo hey ha ya hey ha ya hey ha ya hey ha ya hey ha hey yo hey yo Fort Beck Community College Ukiyepino yo yo me too gashi dagush kashka yogi piano yo yo wata pebi agik tabi ichachia ya bino hey yo hey yo hey ha ya hey ha ya hey ya hey yo hey yo hey yo hey ha ya hey ya yo hey ya hey yo hey yo hey yo hey ha ya hey ha ya hey ha ya hey ha ya hey hey yo hey yo Fort Beck Community College Ukiyepino yo yo me too gashi dagush kashka yogi piano yo yo wata pebi agik
Oh, Taina Chanu.